used to play pool with my father in a kind of league when I was in my early 20s. So it's kind of our thing. Me, and my father, he loved playing pool, so I would go with him because that was time that I could spend with him, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it was his passion, not really mine, but at the same time, like, hey, I'll just go with him and play pool every Monday nights at Sports Rock and Dooley's and what have you. And one guy said, you know what? He was older guy. He's probably like in his late 70s. He said, Mike, you know what? He says, and I was early 20s, not even married yet. And he says, you're going to have, in a marriage, he says, you're going to have like 10 good years and like three not so good years and one brutal year. And so it kind of put everything in perspective in terms of saying like there's going to be some good times and not bad days and good days. He put it into years, which I felt was kind of better that way, where you could give yourself time, that it wasn't just like a bad day or a good day. It was like a good year or a bad year. And you could give yourself a bit more time that it's going to turn
Mm.
or it's going to stay like that. And it always stuck with me.
Welcome to the Driven Dad Podcast, where we celebrate dads that live with passion and lead with purpose. On this show, we'll host some dads that live incredible lives. Being a dad is the most important job you'll ever have. Get inspired by our amazing guest dads that refuse to live life in mediocrity and live epic lifestyles with their families. All right, guys, today's guest is a passionate real estate developer, real estate agent, and proud father of three. He's the visionary behind Fox Creek Golf Club and Community, a project that blends his love for golf, community building, and creating spaces where families thrive. Married to his high school sweetheart since 2004, he's also a dedicated hockey coach, marathon runner, CrossFit enthusiast, and a dad who shows up. Whether it's at the rink, on the course, or in his kids' lives, from navigating real estate through a pandemic to helping grow his hometown year after year, he's driven by purpose, passion, and people. Welcome to the Driven Dad Podcast, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. So before we get into the serious stuff, I have a little question for you. So as a golfer, what's your go-to excuse when you're playing golf? What's your go-to excuse when you're shooting, let's say, like a less than impressive game?
Well, I have a lot of them. Mainly I use the wind. It's usually the wind's fault. So there's got to be something out there that that's a fault. But no, sometimes could be my back's hurting from a workout or somebody talked in my backswing, but mainly it's the wind.
Yeah, it's an easy one to find an excuse for. Eh?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you're a dad of three kids. How old are your kids?
My oldest is 19, my middle son is 17, and my youngest is 13.
Okay. So raising your kids, how has being in that position, being a dad, influenced your personal and professional kind of life ethics and the way you take on life? Being in that dad position, how has that influenced your life?
I would say it's changed everything. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 19 years old. Right out of college, began my entrepreneurial career. And so kind of had my first child at 25, though, which is fairly young. But ever since then, it's kind of changed everything in terms of the purpose and what I do and how I do it, why I do what I do. And so I would say that everything that I do is for them, and kind of being a dad, you just want to make sure that you do everything for them and you want to make them proud. At the end of the day, that's all you're driven to be as for me anyways, as a dad, is to try to make my kids proud of what I do and who I am, to make them proud of themselves.
That's an awesome answer. I love that. And what was your first entrepreneurial journey at 19?
So my first entrepreneurial journey, so if I kind of go back, my parents had a business since 1985, and they were in doing heavy machinery and doing sewer and water works. And then they ended up doing a subdivision and then starting to sell lots. The kind of the story goes that my dad was doing a street for someone, and once the street was completed, the guy showed up and said, "I thought I was going to sell lots, and it didn't sell. So sorry, I don't have any money to pay you for the job you did." So my dad was kind of stunned. And he said, "Well, okay, well, we're just what I'll do is I'm going to take over the lots, and I'll take over the rest of your land. That'll kind of be the amount you owe me," and then kind of forced my dad to become a developer at that time. Just matter of factly, not something that he had any intention to be. And then fast forward 2 years later, the lots weren't selling for him either, so they decided to start building some homes. So in '96, they started building like one or two houses. So in '99, when I graduated college, I went to NBCC in Moncton for 2 years. Then once I graduated, I started working into that home building business for my father. And so kind of from two houses, and then the year later we did 12, and then 3 years later we're doing 40 homes a year and kind of building a lot of stuff. And so I kind of embarked into that because they didn't want to do much in that business, but they would. So that was my first entrepreneurial journey, and I did that since until 2013.
Okay. And was that so? Tell us a little bit if you fast forward. I'm not sure what year this happened, but was that kind of part of that land acquisition? Was that part of where the golf course came from?
No, so that part of the land, I won't say where it is because I wouldn't want anybody knowing
Right.
the whole backstory and understand where that was. But no, where the golf course is today, that would have been in 2001 that we bought that land. So it's not the same place. And yeah, like can get into that story now or later. It's up to you. How do you want to?
Well, yeah. Tell us a little bit about. So for the people that don't know you, this is a pretty unique and pretty cool story as far as like the community where we're from right now. We tend to maybe overlook it, or like we're so used to having Fox Creek Golf Course in our community that we it's no longer like a new thing for us. It's been with us for a while now, but it is an amazing thing that you guys started a golf course in our community, in a place where there's long winters and short summers. So tell us a little bit about that story.
So yeah, that story came about. Kind of have recounted this story many times, but happy to definitely say it here, because it's a proud one, and one of family. And so how it all began is in 2001. My father's still in the sewer and water works business, and now with my oldest brother Marcel kind of at the helm of that business and kind of working together, him and my father. They had a job in Dieppe that they had to do, and one of the things they were going to have extra fill, so a lot of extra earth that they'll need to put somewhere, and they didn't have a lot of places to put it. So there was this place out on Bourque Road that my father knew was kind of there, and it was an old pit, and that pit, the sandstone of that pit, ended up being underneath the Champlain Mall, because that's where because it was built in a marsh, they needed to build it up, so they put a lot of sandstone underneath the Champlain Mall, and a lot of that sandstone came from that pit that was on Bourque Road, that was owned by a big construction company from Moncton. And once they used all that sandstone, they used most of that pit. They didn't have any use for it. So my dad kind of knew that. It was a little trail that went underneath, like off Bourque Road, then over like a old bridge that you didn't really know if you could pass on it or not. And so my brother and father went on that journey to see if they would have a place to put this fill. And after 10 minutes, my brother looked at my dad, says, "Dad, this is this is not a place to put Phil. My dad's like, what's wrong? Like, this is perfect. Like, let's go call the guys and see if we can put it here. He says, no, 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 this is a golf course. My dad started laughing. He's like, what do you mean? He says, no, look, there's a creek here. The Fox Creek goes across. There's these hills, and this would be perfect for a golf course. So rewind a little bit. Like, we used to go on vacation as a family, and we would play, in 3 weeks, we'd play 17 rounds of golf in 21 days, right? So as you would mountain bike or hike with your kids and whatever, we would golf. That would be our thing. So our whole family played golf. So that being that thought process of building a golf course in Dieppe kind of started from there. And then my dad said, yeah, you're crazy. that won't work. And then fast forward a little bit, they went to see the guy. The guy said, yeah, if you want to buy the land, you can. Kind of started laughing at my dad, saying, like, you guys can buy this if you want. Then 3 weeks later, my brother Denis, my middle brother, because I'm the youngest, he was studying audiology in Ottawa. So we called him up and said, hey, we're sitting here at our golf course that we're going to build. He started laughing, going like, what are you guys talking about? And yeah, that's how that all started. And then together we ended up buying that piece of land as a family. And then one thing led to another. We ended up buying 10 pieces of land altogether from 10 different people to amass the size for the golf course. And another story, like, so fast forward 2 years after that, we end up calling a golf course designer, said, hey, would you come and design a golf course here in Dieppe? He's like, yeah, sure. He flies over. We go through the land. We go through everything. He's like, okay, and how much would it cost to build a golf course after this was all done? Tells us the price. We go,
Oh, shit.
okay. Okay, see you later. Have a good one. And once he left, we're like, well, no, we can't. Like, this is over. Like, we can't do that. This is way too much. And so then 6 months later, my brother calls a meeting and says, come over to the house. I have a plan. I'm like, plan for what? The golf course. We're like, come on, man. Like, this is over. Like, we're not, this is it. Like, we're not doing it. We've decided, no, I got an idea. So what happened, he found another piece of land next door to us that we could build a street. And he said, if we build the street, because we knew that side, because we did sewer and water work, he knew exactly how much it was going to cost, and we can sell it for this much. We'll make this much extra money. That extra money will be the difference. We're like, oh, so, well, okay, if you can buy that piece of land and do it that way, that could work. So fast forward, he goes over, we end up buying that piece of land, doing Golf Street that it is today and Andrea Court, two of the nicest streets that you could that could be in Dieppe now. And we ended up going out and trying to sell the lots, and we ended up selling 48 lots in, I believe it was like 12 or 13 weeks. So just people coming over, and it was kind of a weird story because people would come in my father's basement office in my parents' home. Everybody was there. They'd come, and we'd have one person after another kind of come down, show them the lots, and they would give us a deposit for lots that weren't even existing. Like, it wasn't even there. And then we ended up building the street, and the rest is history.
Amazing. And what is Fox Creek Golf Course today? Like, how many members you guys have? How many holes is it?
So Fox Creek Golf Club now is we have about 450 members today. It's 18 holes, championship golf course. We ended up calling the previous person that had come to design the golf course. He ended up designing the golf course for us. A great guy named Graham Cook. So now we have 450 members. We have a brand new restaurant that just opened in July of last year, Boulevard, which is getting rave reviews from the public and everybody around. So, and now the golf course is currently a member-only golf course, so you need to be a member in order to play or be invited by a member to play. And that has become kind of a nice little hidden place for people to come and enjoy and to be part of a membership golf course.
I'm not a golfer myself, but I feel like I'm part of the Fox Creek community, more on the restaurant side or the vibe side than anything else, right? It's always been like one of our favorite patios to hang out on. In the summertime, the sunset's right in front of you. So it's definitely been like an integral part of Dieppe and our community, even for non-golfers, which is kind of cool, right?
Absolutely. And that would be one thing that we always wanted to make sure that the restaurant was always public so that anybody can go to the restaurant. It's two totally different things. So there's a golf course and there's a member only side of the clubhouse, but the majority of the clubhouse is for the whole community at large. And we love people to be able to come in and sit on the patio and enjoy the views, because that view of that 18th hole coming up is one of the nicest views in the province, and we're proud that it's in our city. But for us, is just we wanted to build this in our city for not only us to enjoy, but our whole thing was just to make our city better with what we're gonna do than what we found it. So that was always just the plan, was just to try and do things to make our city a little bit better. And that restaurant, that whole patio vibe, and also everything like that's there now and that will continue to be there, is definitely something that helps the community at large. And we're proud to say that. Even in the wintertime, people will go and walk and snowshoe and slide or do things. I mean, it's private property, but we kind of don't advertise it, but we allow it.
We may have built a few snowboard jumps there over the years.
You're not the only one.
So would you say that the Fox Creek Golf Course project for you and your family was more so of a legacy project than a wealth building project? Or like, what was the driving force behind it? Obviously, a business needs to make money. That's no secret. But I want to say, from my perspective, I feel like you guys could have probably put some efforts into other business ventures that would have made like maybe more money in your pocket. But this is definitely something that will be left behind in your legacy, right?
Yeah, so definitely it's not a moneymaker. Anybody that has a golf course, it's in these neck of the woods, it's a very difficult. The season's very short, and it's so the whole purpose of building the golf course was to create a legacy. Not I would say a legacy now, but initially was just to create something nice and cool into our city. We felt there was a need for it. There was no golf course in Dieppe. Kind of felt in that 2003-4, because we started building it in 2003 and opened in 2005. So we're in our 20th year this year.
Okay.
And we felt at that time that it was something that was necessary to build. And we wanted to kind of create something cool, but it kind of took a life of its own. Once we started selling all those lots, pre-selling those lots, now we had, now we need to deliver something, because we told them that they'd be living on a golf course. Well, we hadn't even cut a tree yet. So it's like, oh no, now we gotta do it. So, and as we kept on building lots and as we kept on selling lots and doing that, we ended up saying, let's put everything back into the golf course. So that was always our thing, was let's take all the money that we're getting from this and put it right back into the golf course to make it nicer. So yeah, we could have definitely done things differently to make more money, in terms of we ended up keeping a lot of trees. Like, you drive through it now, and it was all on purpose to keep kind of that. You see a lot of developments now where all of a sudden they cut a lot of the trees, and that was just prior to that. We never wanted to do that. Was always to kind of keep a lot of the maturity, the trees, the greenery, and now Fox Creek kind of looks like a park within the city, and now it's in the middle of the city, where at that time it was not.
Right.
So it was kind of off the beaten path at that time. Now the city's grown so much, and it's going to continue to grow to make it in the middle. But to come back, the whole idea was to do something with our family. We're very proud that we still own the golf course today as a family. everything is for my father and mother and us three brothers was kind of to do that together. And even during the construction, we would, drive the machineries, all of us. Like my mom would drive a rock truck on the weekends. Like my dad would take the earth, put it in the truck. My mom and aunts would drive the truck, and every Saturday at 4 o'clock, my mom would bring some pizza and some beer. We'd all conglomerate at one place and sit on the tailgates of the trucks for an hour or two after our work was done. So those memories are ones that are very dear to me and to our family, and one that we'll definitely never forget. And that was really the main reason of doing it, and to be able to do it with all my cousins and aunts and uncles and everybody. It's and to see it today, it's kind of surreal.
No, that's quite the memory to have and to carry for the rest of your lives. That's awesome.
Definitely.
And I think you guys were really forward thinking in believing that a golf course was a good idea for the city at that time, right? Like now it makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like every great idea doesn't seem like a great idea before it's been done, right?
I agree.
So there's probably there's definitely a lot of people that said you guys were crazy, like every other good idea
Yeah.
before it's done, right?
Yeah.
But I think it was like 20 years before its time as far as the growth of the city. Like now the city, like you said, is a growing city.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You have a ton of people moving to Greater Moncton and Dieppe specifically. And in that saturated area, even more specifically, right now, there's a ton of real estate going up.
Yep.
So it makes a whole lot of sense to have a golf course there now. But 20 years ago, it was pretty nuts, a pretty crazy idea.
It sure was. And we never really thought that, to be honest, but
It's
after a
because
while is when a whole lot of people are telling us, and even the person we bought that first piece of land from, once we gave him the check, he's like, "Oh, have fun with that land."
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. Started laughing. And we're like, "Oh, what did we just do?"
But it's because I can tell you why. It's because you guys were so passionate and confident about your idea that there was no failing, right? Like failing was not an option. Because
Yeah.
I've been there in another type of business where I look back myself now and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? And it was successful, but I still think it was a crazy idea to like set off in that industry at that time at 23 or 24 years old. Like I can't even believe someone gave me money to start a business. Really, but in my mind I remember clearly thinking there was no other path aside from success.
Yeah.
Like no one was stopping me. And I'm sure that's exactly like just hearing how you guys were thinking about it it's the exact same thing, right? You guys saw the end result before starting.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. And we had that passion. I mean, my father at the time, I remember we went to Halifax one time and my father said, "Look, guys, I've thought about it. We're not going to do it." And we looked at him. We said, "Well, if you don't want to do it, we're doing it anyways," which there was no way we could do it without him. But we kind of bluffed and said, "Look, we're doing it." So he said, "Well, good luck." We said, "Okay, we're doing it." It's like, "Are you guys serious?" I said, "Yeah, like we really think this is going to work. Like we have like there's no way this is not going to work." And Dieppe like, "Okay, all right. I'll hop on board with you guys." And the rest is history. But definitely our whole thing was, this is going to work. This is going to work out. However, afterwards, like all the houses that were built and everything that was built around it, it kind of started to get a life of its own. And then we realized, oh, so we had covenants and kind of to have a certain side of the home and this and that. All of a sudden, everybody was doing these bigger homes and nicer things. And we're going like, oh, all right, I guess there was a pent up demand for this kind of thing in our area that we didn't even anticipate. So on that front, it kind of started to get a life of its own. And then we started to look at what we could do to make it different. And in the end, it is what it is today. And we're very happy to have done what we did. And looking back now, yeah, it looks like we knew everything. But it was just more you're right. It was more about the passion and ensuring that, we had one goal in mind and nobody was going to change that mindset that we had. And good thing that we were all on board together to do it, because some days I wasn't keen on doing or feeling, oh, I'm not sure. And then the other three were like, no, hey, let's go. And then vice versa. So it was nice to have everyone. You didn't have like, you weren't standing on an island by yourself. You had the rest of your family, the other four people really there cheering you on and building you up when you kind of were feeling down, and then vice versa.
So it was a good experience, like for the last 20 years to work with your family. Was there any challenges along
Oh,
like
absolutely.
working with your family? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, so as any family business, there's challenges, right? You at the beginning you kind of go and everybody's just kind of working their own thing, and then all of a sudden there's different nuances or different things that needs to be done, and one wants to go one way, the others want to go another way, and but we always kind of had the mentality of, if three of the four or five wanted to go one way, everybody went that way. And the other two then said, well, I told you so. They kind of went with it, even though they voiced their opinion of why not. And then we kind of went that way. And the next time was three other people or everybody that was on board. But if only one person wanted to do it, the other three or four said, no, we wouldn't do it. And then nobody would kind of say, why, we should have done it this way or that way. And so, yeah, but there's definitely some challenges. I'm not going to sit here and say that there are none, but we still own the golf course today as a family. And I'm proud to say that, and proud to I wouldn't change anything for where we are today. Definitely wouldn't change anything at all.
I think from my experience, if the family has respect for each other, you're all raised under the same roof. So you have like a similar code of ethics, similar life goals, or the way you see life is similar oftentimes.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, like obviously some days, like there's going to be some disagreements, or some people might feel more right-sided than left-sided. But in the end, you all want, everyone to be happy and everyone to get, to get holy jeez, a memory blank here, to get along with each other.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, so it's like, from my experience working with my family, there's some disagreements and misalignments sometimes, but the greater goal is often on the same page, right?
Well, that's the thing. Like, as long as the goal and also I would say that once you have a certain ethics and a certain of way you want things to do, and everything is ethical, or you want it to have, like, this is the end result we want. Doesn't matter if it's gonna, cost us a bit more money, or that we, everything needs to be done a certain way. And in the end, I mean, so we definitely have gone through some harder times, and within those 20 years, it was not all roses, definitely not. And we had to pivot, and we had to change, we had to do things along the way. But with always to try and have respect for each other as much as we can. So I've never remember any shouting match between family members or anything like that. Like, so it wasn't anything like that. We don't have huge, big egos to deal with too much. So that's something that didn't have to deal with. But I would say that looking back and having to do it, and to continue to do it, because in total, Fox Creek, which is now Fox Creek Village, the whole area is about 1,000 acres. So, the golf course takes 175 acres of it, and then all kinds of other roads and streets now. And you look at Dieppe Boulevard now and say, oh my God, like, great idea to have that. But we've also been holding on to land since 2001, so 24 years. That's still sitting there, and nothing has been done since then. So on that particular piece of land. So yeah, now it's there, and everything is building around it.
It's like you've told me before, it became an overnight success 20 years later.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like that the image where there's a mountain of success and then all the beneath the waters,
Yeah,
all
the iceberg.
the
Yeah,
iceberg type
yeah,
of thing that
yeah.
all the crap is underneath
Yeah,
the iceberg.
You can't see the shit.
Yeah, you can't see all the shit that's underneath. But and we have anyways, so Fox Creek now. I would just add that we're on to our our next part of it, which since 2001, 2, 3, we've always thought that within Dieppe there should be like a village core. So there should be like a place where all the residents could kind of conglomerate and go into one area. So that's kind of our next step now is we still have some land left and kind of want to create a place where we would kind of have like a little area where people can kind of go and have some shops and little things like that, like maybe coffee shops and other stuff to kind of get people to be able to be a community and to be a play to go to a place, whether it's Saturday or Sundays or what have you. So you have some parks, but also place park benches and stuff like that you can sit, but also some like places to go, like other restaurants and what have you. Because now the city has grown so much that we need now to have a bit more services. We're missing some of the services, especially in that area, because it's grown so much in terms of residents. Now people are there, but the services aren't. We have them, but there's not as much as people would need to have.
Yeah.
So that's the next step.
So along all of your 20 plus years of entrepreneurship, you've had your wife beside you since you're married since 2004.
Correct.
How important do you think it is to have a spouse that aligns with your vision and that, like, a spouse that supports you and you that supports her at the same time? How important do you think that is, like, especially on the entrepreneurship side of things?
I would say that it's everything. Like I've heard a lot of quotes lately on what's the most important part. I think it was maybe like Warren Buffett or somebody that said like choosing your spouse is the number one thing, because in order to have any type of success, if you don't have a wife or a spouse or a partner that supports you and will lift you up and will encourage you to keep going, is going to be very difficult, because there's going to be times where you're not sure about yourself, and there's going to be times where you're not sure you're doing the right thing, and financially it gets very difficult at sometimes, and you're like, geez, should I gone to just work at that place and have just a job and just the benefits and this and that and just kind of have a pay this week instead of hoping and wanting to go. So I believe that as an entrepreneur, you definitely having a wife, and my wife has been extremely supportive throughout the years. And sometimes she thought maybe I was crazy and doing a lot, but at the same time, the support system there has meant everything to me, and I wouldn't be where I am today without her supporting me and in all that I've done, for sure, for the last 30 years that we've been together, and 21 years married this year.
I'm a massive believer of surrounding yourself with like-minded people, or people that lift you up, and if you spend a good portion of your time with your husband or wife, obviously that person's going to be the most important person, to have the right person beside you during all those years.
Totally. And yeah, it is the most important part, and to do it together and not have like her or you or like in my case, like me and her, like two different things. It's always like together we're doing this what, and communicating like all the stuff what's going on, and to be able to make sure that you communicate what's going on, good and bad, and just kind of go through it, and so everybody understands there's no. And so yeah, I mean, I definitely think that I would tell anybody that it's probably the most important thing to do is to make sure that you have the right partner in crime and beside you.
And I think you said it well. Communication is probably the most important part. Like sometimes I'm guilty of that. I assume that,
Oh, me too.
my wife or that people know stuff. I don't know why, but I just, like, oh, obviously she knows this, and she's like, what? How would I know that? So that's like one thing that I'm working on is trying to be patient in communicating things that maybe I think is not necessary, but in reality it is.
I agree totally with that. Like, and I'm the same way. We talk to a lot of people throughout the day about the same thing. So sometimes I thought I said something and maybe I didn't. So sometimes I repeat myself just to make sure.
Or maybe you're just tired of saying it over and over again.
Yeah, that too. But I find definitely I think we can all work more on communicating, but definitely that is the most important part, and to make sure. And that's one thing with having kids, though, you kind of lose that time where it's always about the kids, and then you kind of sometimes kind of work, and then do like with them, and then all of a sudden finally they go to bed. And it's like, oh, like
Yeah.
now it's time for me to go to bed. So sometimes you throughout the years, I found like in some times of my life as being a dad and a husband was more difficult to communicate than others. So depending on where I am in my life, entrepreneurial, what's going on, if it's going well or if it's not going so well, what the kids, if they're busy, not busy, and what have you, if I'm feeling fulfilled with, my friends and everything else, and whether it's nice outside, like, or whatever. I mean,
A lot of factors.
a lot of factors create that if you're in a good spot or not. And I find like some years, it's funny. I had somebody I used to play pool with my father in a kind of league when I was in my early 20s. So it's kind of our thing. Me, my father, he loved playing pool, so I would go with him because that was time that I could spend with him, right? So it was his passion, not really mine, but at the same time, like, hey, I'll just go with him and play pool every Monday nights at the Sports Rock and Dooley's and what have you. And one guy said, you know what? He was older guy. He's probably like in his late 70s. He said, Mike, you know what? He says, and I was early 20s, not even married yet. And he says, you're going to have, in a marriage, he says, you're going to have like 10 good years and like 3 not so good years and 1 brutal year. And so it kind of put everything in perspective in terms of saying like there's going to be some good times and not bad days and good days. He put it into years, which I felt was kind of better that way, where you could give yourself time, that it wasn't just like a bad day or a good day. It was like a good year or a bad year, and you could give yourself a bit more time that it's going to turn or it's going to stay like that. And it always stuck with me. So that what he said, I don't really remember all the details, but that's kind of what I remembered of it. And I kind of use that in my day-to-day life, saying like, it's maybe not a good day or a bad day, but not a bad week or a good week. It's just kind of try to go year by year and kind of make it more that way. Not dwelling too much on the.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective, because like you say, there's a lot of contributing factors, right? Work, stress, sleep, health, kids, different activities, different seasons, sun, no sun. So it's that's an interesting way to look at it, to know that you're gonna maybe go through a week or a few days or a few months or a year, like you say. But I think if people would have that mindset, they'd be willing to work more for it, right? And not be like, well, this sucks, not meant to be. Let's call it quits.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a week now and it's not panning out. So I'm gonna, I'm not losing weight the last week, so I'm just going to stop.
I was going to say, it applies to everything.
Well,
it applies to everything, right?
Yeah.
Just not just relationships, but businesses, health and fitness, nutrition, all that stuff. it's not about, the changes or the achievements of today. It's about the compounding effects and, getting 1% better every day. And that's another thing too with relationships. Like, if it is going rough, maybe you look at yourself. Like, there's obviously something you can improve, right? Maybe you have to suck up your pride and
Absolutely.
admit to some things that you're doing wrong or whatever. But there's, like, if you're committed to it, there's definitely something you can change.
Totally agree with you on that. Like I think a lot of times you're always looking at what others are doing, but sometimes not going well. Sometimes you can definitely change the things. And I would add that that also goes with your as being a dad, right? And being a parent, where all of a sudden, geez, I've been nice to my kid, like, or I've been doing this for the last week, and he hasn't changed. So geez, I'm too bad. Like I'm not. I'm gonna. This is not working. Well, you need to give yourself maybe a bit more time, and maybe you're doing something maybe a little different than you should be doing for them, and to be a better dad and to be a better father to your kids or parent for that matter too. So, kind of tend to use that into a lot of the
I
stuff that
agree.
I
I
do.
agree 100%. I'm in a different stage, or my kids are in a different stage than your kids, but I'm thinking a lot like, they get introduced to a lot of things for the first time in the time frame or the age bracket that they're in right now. So a lot of the times it's like, I keep thinking, like, how many times am I going to have to tell them that they need to put their jacket on to go to school? Like every day, same thing, same thing, same thing. And then one day they put their jacket on without me telling them to put their jacket on. And you're like, holy shit.
Yep.
Wow.
They even zipped it.
Wow. Like, this is earth shattering. Like,
Yeah.
so they are learning things. Wow. It's small, but at that moment, it's huge.
Yeah. And if you let them go out and say, oh, well, then too bad, just go without a jacket, and then
Mm-hmm.
they freeze, and then like, why my dad let me go to school? Now I'm freezing. Like, he didn't care about me or whatever. So like sometimes but you're definitely right. And I think like now my kids are at an older, they're older and trying things for the first time as
Mm-hmm.
well, and seeing things for the first time as well in different circumstances, but kind of try and keep doing that same thing and just kind of being there for them and guiding them
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that but also letting them learn by themselves and let them fall. And I find a little bit lately we're a bit too like bubble wrapping our kids a little bit, where they're we wrapped our BMX, and I still have scars on my forehead of times where I fell, and it was probably not the smartest thing, but the
Mm-hmm.
next day I didn't go up and try to wrap that place again. I kind of maybe went a little on the side, a little more cautiously, and then kind of learned at doing it. So
100%. That's how you learn. I've actually had that discussion with my wife this week. I try to, like, on regular days we're caught up in the hustle and bustle and trying to make things go faster, like, get ready, let's go, we have to go outside in 2 minutes, let's go. But I try to let them do everything on their own, even if they're doing it too slow. So, like, if it's zipping their jacket or finding their gloves or whatever, I'm like, it's really challenging to watch them, pick up their gloves going like 10 times too slow that they should be
yeah,
doing it, instead of me taking their gloves and putting it in their hands or whatever. But it's like you said, we're bubble wrapping our kids a little bit too much and doing things for them a little bit too much, which, right today is challenging to allow them to do it themselves and to learn
yeah,
how to do it themselves. But in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, that's where it's going to compound into a massive difference of who they're going to turn out to be, essentially.
totally agree.
Mm.
Totally agree.
So as a busy entrepreneur, and you're busy personally and professionally, how do you manage being integrated into your kids' life? So I know you coach your kids' hockey teams and you integrate yourself in other ways. How do you make that a priority when you have a bunch of interests or important stuff that you're juggling professionally at the same time?
I would say that at the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, I didn't understand that too much, so I would not be there as much, or I'm working hard and kind of have it like a badge of honor as oh, I worked 90 hours this week and like that whole thing, right? Like where then once I kind of noticed that that wasn't kind of what I wanted to be, like now I just prioritize my time. Like every morning, I don't start anything before 9 o'clock, work wise,
Mm-hmm.
because I want to be able to, if I need to bring my daughter to school at 8:30, that I want to do that. So if in the morning she says, "Hey, Dad, want to bring me to school this morning?" Yes, I've probably been working for an hour and a half already around the house. Get up in the morning, do my thing, and start working. But then I work from home, so kind of go up, be there with her, and make sure to bring her home and stuff like that. So bring her to school. And I haven't I don't remember if I missed any of my kids' sporting events. If I did, the reason I missed it was because I was at probably one of my other kids' sporting events. So, at some point we had three kids that were all playing competitive hockey, and they would all play on the weekends. Sometimes one would play in Bourque, the other one was in Fredericton. It's very difficult to be
Mm-hmm.
everywhere at the same time. However, I do remember like 2 years ago where my son had a tournament in Dieppe. My daughter was in a tournament in Halifax. We had won. We're going in the quarterfinals that night. We had played in the morning. My daughter had a game at 3 o'clock in Halifax. I said I can make that game. I can leave at 12 o'clock after our game. I drive 2 hours and a half. I'm in Halifax 30 minutes before the game. Watch the game. After the game is done, it's 4 o'clock. I can zoom back and be at the rink at 6:30. I'm coaching the team, but we only play at 8. And my assistant coach, I'm like, "Hey, are you guys going to be there early? Can you make sure that?" Yeah, and if you need me, I'll be in the car for 4.5, 5 hours, so we can chat while I'm driving both sides, and we're going to strategize about the game that's coming up or what have you. Um, so I did that, and I drove to Halifax, and I came back, and I didn't care how much the gas was going to cost. And a lot of times we get caught up into, oh, geez, well, if I do that, it's going to cost me this much, and blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, but when my daughter didn't know I was going to be there, and I show up and I sit in the stands, and I see her in the warm up, and she looks up and she sees me, she's like, "Oh, I didn't expect him to be there, and he's there," which I'm usually there anyway. So it's not like, "Oh my God, you finally came to a game,"
Mm-hmm.
but it was he just drove down just to see me play. So that type of stuff is just something I don't even think about. I just do it, and I feel like those are things that are very very important in our kids' lives. And now my oldest is in university. He plays NCAA golf. He's actually in college in St. Louis, Missouri, and plays college golf. And last 2 weeks ago, I was going to go get him to bring him back home. And then he had a tournament the week before. So I just said, "Oh, how about I go a little earlier, and I'll go to his tournament, be part of it with him," and ended up spending 8 days with him straight because I went to that tournament with him, and then we drove back home, and we had an amazing time. Even at he's going to be 20 years old in November. Even then, still making memories, still making sure to be there for them. Can't be at he played 10 tournaments. I can't be at all of them, but we if I had a chance, I took that chance. And then coaching my kids hockey, that's been my passion, and it's been one over the I've coached every single one of my kids, mainly all the years throughout the times, and the last 3 years being the head coach of the high school team here, and winning the provincial championship the last 2 years, and has really been something that I took really in it. We would practice in the mornings too, so we'd practice every morning at 8:15 to 9:15. So I could only start working at 10 o'clock. A lot of people would say, "Geez, like that's Yeah, but then that means I work later at night, and I kind of took the time at different places to do so. I always made sure to be there with my kids, and I'll keep doing it.
It's crazy how, people that have it all, like if you paint the classic picture of encompassing having it all, they keep chasing, the material things and maybe the bigger house, the more expensive car, the making more revenue at work. I don't think they really know like why they're chasing that, because they've already achieved like a level that's, something to be proud of on that side. However, that they forget that, the biggest trophy of all is at home. Their kids, like what you just described, basically. Instead of, putting the work thing aside, like there's always going to be money to be made tomorrow, right? But your kids are only 5 for 1 year and 6 for 1 year and so on and so on. And then like your kids are on the way out, pretty much in the next
absolutely.
5 or so years. You'll probably be a empty nester. And it's awesome that you put that as a priority. So I think you took advantage of, those good years, and you've put an emphasis on that and made the best out of it. But I just can't wrap my head around. And there's a lot of people that are very successful financially, and people would deem them successful like in general. And I would deem them unsuccessful, at least in a portion of it, because they missed out on the whole goal of life, right? Like it's cool if you have financial goals and places you want to go on that forefront, but it should be like, I want to make this much money because I want my family to have this life with me, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it should be a vehicle to drive you to where you want to go with your family. Like we want to spend, every quarter we're doing 1 week family vacation. And in the summertime, I'm taking 2 weeks for a road trip. Like that's what's cool about money and freedom. It's not really cool if like you're working, 6-7 days a week and long hours and missing your kids' hockey games and blah, blah, blah. Not to mention not going on those family vacations because you have obligations. So anyways, all that to say, I think you're doing it really well, and it's inspiring the way that you've done it over the years.
Yeah, thank you. And that's the one thing that you just said, like it's a vehicle. Like for me, it's the same thing. I work hard because I want to make sure that we have experiences with our kids, like the trips that we have and the experiences. And funny, I saw a quote the other day, or somebody said something, maybe it was on a podcast or just a recording, but he said like success is does your kids want to hang out with you when you're older? And for me, that would be a sign of success, is if in 10 years from now, my kids would want to hang out with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or with us, me and my wife. Like if they still want to be there and they still want to hang out with us, then we created and we fostered a relationship that actually made it that they want to spend time with us because they have good memories when they were younger, and they want to try and cultivate those and make some more. And so for me, that's success. Whether somebody has X amount of money in the bank account, whatever, that doesn't impress me too much. It's more like, what are you doing with your time? How you're spending your time with your family and your friends, as well. And are you generous? If you actually have that much money, are you generous? Are you doing things that really you shouldn't be doing, but you still do because you feel that it's the right thing to do, and not always be pretentious with it, with everything else. So I would agree with you that that would be what I would deem success, would be that if in 10 years from now my kids still want to hang out with me, then, because at 5-6 years old, I have no choice, right? They kind of have to be there.
They don't choose you.
Yeah, who's going to put them in their car seat? Like, so, but once they get older and they're driving their car and they're doing their things and have their own time, and Are they deciding to spend time with you?
100%. I have some friends that are a little bit older than me that we hang out with on a weekly basis on a mountain biking front, and sometimes like skiing and snowboarding in the wintertime, and their kids. So we've been hanging out for multiple years now, and now their teenagers join us for our bike nights. So like the adult bike nights are now whatever, like the father and son bike nights, which is freaking awesome.
Yeah, super cool.
So like try to listen to them and watch them and observe them and be like, because that's like my life goal.
That's it.
And it doesn't need to be mountain biking. Like if my kid likes freaking, I don't know, jujitsu or whatever, I'll join jujitsu if he wants me to. I'll do whatever. But it's like what else is as cool as that? Doing something with your son or your daughter that they're passionate about, that you can both do together and enjoy, and it's, you know, it's healthy and it's good for everyone, right? Like
Absolutely.
nothing better than that in life.
Absolutely. And like that's why I like skiing, and I love skiing, and I love golf. It's time where when you're on the ski lift with your family and kids, even now at the age of my kids, and we go skiing, there's no phones, there's no distractions, there's no anything else that goes on. So kind of like those times that you're spending, but for them saying, hey, can we go skiing or can we go golfing? And you spend the 4 hours together to golf and or to ski is like I totally agree with you on that front, and one that as a parent you should want that. Like
Absolutely.
like not provide them with, hey, you want to come and have a drive in my sports car? Like I mean, okay, that
That's
that
cool,
can kind of
but
cool be,
yeah.
if you can, that's kind of cool too. Like I'm
Yeah.
not saying that it's not cool, but you know,
It's
what
not a
about the
real
rest?
like shared experience necessarily.
Yeah.
Like if you're snowboarding together or
Yeah.
golfing together. Yeah.
That's it.
I agree.
It's- yeah.
I agree. So, Mike, before I let you go here, one last question. So, if your kids could describe you in a few words, what would you hope that they'd say about you?
I would hope that they would say that I'm present, that I'm a nice guy, but also that I'm a good role model. In the end, I just would love my kids to, again, just want to be with me. So that's how every time, like, so if you have friends and you want them to be your friends, you can't be all the time that you see them complaining all the time and telling them what to do all the time. And at some point those friends will say, look, or won't answer your calls anymore.
Screw that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like this is not fun. Like he's always complaining and he's always telling me what to do. So I feel the same with my kids. Like sometimes I just like to. So I hope that's really my goal, is that they think that I'm a good dad and just a good provider for them in every, like not the sense of providing financially, but providing good a good healthy home, good healthy conversations, being there for them. And I hope when they turn around, they're 30 years old, that they want to act the same way I did with their kids. I hope. If not, then I can maybe look back and say, oh, maybe I could have done this differently or that. But that's really what I hope my kids would say about me.
I love that. And I love that you highlighted that, it's one of those things, like, I think it's very easy to get caught up in like the don't do this, don't do that, do it this way, listen to me, that type of language on a daily basis. But I think that would be like a really good takeaway for me and for everyone to think about creating moments where like you set aside, you take them somewhere, as you go for a walk or you sit with them, and it's really focused on quality conversations and not like, do this better, don't do that, put your shoes on and so on. And that type of conversation can be done at like, 4 years old. Maybe they're just grasping like 10% of it, but it's character building, right?
And relation, maybe, but that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be long.
It starts to build that relationship from an early age. And I think like dads specifically, our generation might be like one of the first generations where we are more emotionally involved or like willing to maybe have those types of conversations more than the previous generations of dads.
Absolutely.
I think like, you know, I really don't care what anyone thinks about that. I'm just gonna like, you know, do it the way I think. I'm emotionally involved with my kids, and I, you know, I tell them I love them and I kiss them every day and whatever, and I really don't care. But I think it's, you know, there's a lot of dads that are realizing that, you know, that's also your job. That's not just the mom's job or whoever. And it's okay to do that, and you should be doing that and taking
Absolutely.
every opportunity you can to do that.
Absolutely. I can't agree with you more on that.
Mm.
You know, taking the time to really make sure that, because it's your job.
Mhm.
It's your job, you
Mhm.
know. If you're not open and because of your how you were raised, but you can
Mhm.
change that, right?
Mhm.
You can be open with your kids and just having the sometimes it's tough conversations, but a lot of times just easy ones. Like it's just like
Mhm.
super easy and just listen. Hey, how'd your day go today? Oh, okay. And sometimes you want to say something, say, well, maybe you should, but don't like
Mm.
just
Just
listen.
listen.
Yes. Oh,
Mm.
yeah. Okay. Oh, nice. Well, that's great.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. And that's it.
I agree.
Like whether you say something or you don't, like it, or in the grand scheme of things, sometimes, like if it's a real, you know, something really happened at school, they got clocked in the face by someone
Then there
or
needs to be a
whatever, like,
conversation. Yeah.
like that's a different story
Mhm.
altogether. But if it's just like, sometimes they just want to talk.
Yeah.
And if they can talk without having any real like opinion, or it's
Mm.
like more like, oh yeah, and
Mhm.
keep going. Well, next time they'll
They'll
want to
keep
talk.
talking.
Yeah, they'll
Yeah.
keep
Which is
talking.
extremely important at an older age, even more, right?
Absolutely,
Mm. Mm.
absolutely.
Mm. Well, Mike, thank you very much for being on the Driven Dad podcast.
My
Thanks
pleasure.
for being an inspiring dad, and thanks for everything that you do for your own kids. And I'm sure you've inspired other dads among us to, you know, do more and be more. And yeah, I really appreciate you.
My pleasure, and thanks, Matt. And I love being part of your podcast.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.